And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. I'm Justin, but today joining me in studio is Mr. Jeff Jetter. How are you, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks.
Now, people are probably looking at us on YouTube saying, what in the world are these two guys wearing?
Well, we like to have fun in the office on Fridays. Yeah. And today, Fun Day Friday, is Hawaiian Shirt Day.
Hawaiian shirt. And I actually participated today.
I know. I love it.
I usually don't participate in these things, do I?
You don't get the memo in time often.
I'm also a party pooper, if you want to know the truth.
A little bit.
I'm very introverted for those of you who don't know me personally, and I'm not a flashy, showy type of guy. That's just not how I'm designed. I'm not the life of the party. But let me tell you, Mr. Jeff Jetter is the life of the party. If there is any fun, he can have it.
We can find it.
We can find it, can't we? So we're going to talk about something that many people will find not fun today.
Sure.
Over the last few episodes, we've been dealing with this concept of key performance indicators, and key results indicators, ultimately trying to kind of pull the curtain back, Jeff, a little bit around our business. You know, one of the things I believe is that if we can be authentic and share with our listeners what we're doing and what we're experiencing, and as we're growing at an unbelievable pace, as you've seen, as we're growing, other business owners can learn from us and grow with us during this time. So we've reached the point in our 8 modules to where now we're dealing with this area of legal or risk or insurance. So just for those of you who are joining us perhaps for the first time, first of all, thank you. If you find this show encouraging, maybe helping you in your business, hey, leave us a review. That'll help us reach other business owners and encourage them. I really believe business owners and small businesses especially is the lifeblood of our country. So anything we can do to help business owners and them in turn help their customers, their team members, their families, everybody involved, that's our ethos. That's what drives us. So for those of you who maybe don't know this, we believe that business can be broken down into 8 key areas. And we've been dealing with these on a level looking through our particular company. So we have planning and leadership. Those are the first 2 areas. We have sales and marketing. Those are 2 areas. We have the people or the team, and then the operations, which are pretty popular areas that most people would recognize. And then finally, we get into finance and legal. And I did the KPI, KRIs on the finance section. And now we're here in the legal or the risk management. It encompasses a lot of different things. But Jeff, as you and I were looking at this, the legal pie, the legal slice of pizza, if we're going to use pizza, you know how much I love pizza.
We love pizza.
I love pizza. Said no pineapple.
No pineapple.
No pineapple on my pizza. But you like pineapple, if I remember right.
I do. I enjoy a slice of pineapple on the slice of pie.
Whenever we were looking at risk management, it doesn't have as many KPIs, key performance indicators, PIs, performance indicators, or KRIs, key results indicators, as like finance and marketing or sales. It's really an interesting slice of the operational structure. Am I interpreting that right as you and I were looking at it?
Well, it really is, and we struggle with putting numbers or assigning measurements to it.
Yeah.
And so whenever we find something that's difficult to measure, it's difficult to have those key performance indicators. We talk about dollars and revenue and sales figures and conversion rates, and these are all things that, you know, we can throw percentages on quite simply. When it comes to risk mitigation, risk management, it's hard to have those measurable numbers, and really the best measurement is if you have nothing to measure.
That's awesome. Yeah. So whenever we were looking at it, you and I were thinking, okay, let's break this down into 3 key components. And we were looking at team as it relates to the organization proper, the employees, the owners, those who are involved within the organization. We were looking at the customer basis. How are you protecting the customers? Are you protecting the business from customers back and forth? You know, we're in business for everybody to try to serve people and make money simultaneously. And then also we deal with vendors, those individuals that we hire to help us in business. So let's start off with the team. Whenever we're looking at team, what is it that we can kind of hone in on in the area of risk management that we just need to be aware of and help prepare for to prevent from having to measure these areas?
Yeah, exactly. We want to prevent measurement of any kind of risk measurable. And I think the best thing to do with our team is sort of have that yes/no checklist, that what if. Do we have it in place? And so if we have a risk mitigation plan, are we following it, and are we trying to improve it each year? And really, it can be simple yes/no questions. Like, if the owner goes down for disability, are we covered?
Yeah.
If the owner dies, are we covered? If we lose a key man, do we have protection in place for that? And there are all sorts of different ways we can say yes or no. And it's, again, impossible to measure all the yes, no, what ifs. But to say, yes, we have a plan for that circumstance is a win.
So even as me being one of the owners of the company right now, if something were to happen to me, let's say in the event of a disability, we have a company disability policy that can keep the company going. If something were to happen to me in the event of death, we have a buyout provision that allows the company to continue and ownership to switch properly within our company. But even Jeff, I don't mind saying this, that I had COVID and I was out of office for almost 3 weeks. That was totally unexpected. Now, thank God it was only 3 weeks, and I'm healthy today, and it wasn't worse than it was. But, heaven forbid, all of a sudden I get injured in a car wreck. I'm not dead. I'm really not disabled in the terms of the medical disability based on the insurance. But we also got to make sure that we're mitigating the risks where the owner is not able to be there, which is that decentralization that we often talk about.
Certainly, and we always we talk about cross-training and decentralization. That's exactly right. So do people know how to step in and fill the shoes, at least to a degree, to keep everything afloat?
So now in our company for the team, we actually employ 4 different attorneys. 4 different attorneys. And
Yes.
and friends, you've heard me. I often say you should have a razor sharp attorney. But I often equate attorneys, and I even tell my friends who are attorneys, even the ones that represent us, you've heard me say this. I look at attorneys as chainsaws. If you've never ran a chainsaw, then you might not be able to understand this, but those of us who run a chainsaw and who just, get out there on the farm or in our houses and play around, chainsaws will wear you out. You got to be conscious. You've got to be so diligent as you're working with them. At the end of the day of running a chainsaw, you are tired. Well, attorneys work in the same area. If you need a chainsaw, you want it to be super sharp, and you want it to be powerful, and you want it to be able to just work it and make that thing eat. That's what you want with an attorney. So we have 4 attorneys that are like that right now in our firm. But why do we have them?
Well, everybody has their own particular niche, and one of the things we talk about in our industry a lot is compliance. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we want to make sure that we're following out. There are state rules, federal rules, SECs, FINRAs, all these guys. And we want to make sure that we're following the rules, not only to protect the clients, but to protect ourselves. And so we've got an attorney dedicated to that. We've got an attorney dedicated, and you've talked about this in most of your business planning, and that is a tax or corporate attorney. We want to make sure that there's that razor sharp guy out there making sure that we're following the law, but taking advantage of everything we can take advantage of. We want to make sure that our intellectual property is protected. So we've got an attorney who's responsible for the copyrights in your books and the material that we have, the curriculum we're developing, and those sorts of things. And I'm missing one.
Yeah, so we have a tax attorney and we have a corporate attorney. The corporate attorney helps us with all of our contracts as it relates to employees, as it relates to handbooks, as it relates to customers. We have vendors even when the corporate attorney looks at all the documents, and then the tax attorney helps us make sure that we're not going to give away. I often say, and I heard Chris Mahan, who's been on the podcast multiple times, he's with Mahan & Associates, he said the Internal Revenue Code is the greatest wealth creation tool that we can use in the United States. I actually heard an attorney this morning say that the number one liability business owners have is taxes. It's not often the practice debt or the business debt or all these other things as taxes. So I really believe you got to have a razor sharp tax attorney who can help you alongside. So when we're looking at our team, we've got these contracts in place with insurances where if the owner goes down so that we can survive. If a Jeff Jetter goes down, we can survive. If you have legal issues, you can survive. So as long as you have those in place, like we said earlier, not having an incident is how you know you're successful here. But whenever we flip it from the company itself, Jeff, we serve a lot of customers across our country. We even have international customers now that were here that maybe have dual citizenships and et cetera. But we serve a lot of business owners across our United States on comprehensive financial planning, like we start everybody off with. We manage money for them. We take care of their employee-sponsored retirement plans. We do their business planning for them. We have customers who are in the middle of exit planning. We have customers who are trying to sell business. We have clients who are trying to buy businesses. So we have a lot of different customers. So whenever we look in the aspect of trying to protect customers, what is it that you and I as business owners are looking at in that area?
Well, again, it comes back to that compliance component. We've talked about that a little bit. That goes with the team and the customers. We also want to try to measure their satisfaction. And of course, the measurable item here that we don't want to be measuring is dissatisfaction, right? So what happens if we do something incorrectly or negligently? And I think any of our listeners can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, what if we mess up? We serve a lot of dentists, and you know, of course, there's malpractice insurance. Yep. The attorneys that we serve, the architects that we serve, all these service specialists have their own particular industry standard of that industry insurance, that E&O, malpractice, et cetera.
Yeah, so we're trying to make sure that we have processes in place to where if there is a misunderstanding or a communication error, that the customer is protected from any type of negligible act that we might have as an organization involved. So one of the things we have to look at in our risk management is outside the insurances and the legal documents is making sure the processes are in place to protect the business's view or the community view of the business from the external looking in. I think that's very intuitive. So we're looking at customers, making sure that we're protecting them from us and us from them, vice versa. But then we also have vendors, man. We have a lot of people, like in our business, we have vendors that provide technology. We have vendors that provide compliance. We have vendors that do even cybersecurity. Holy cow, what a bugaboo there. You know, so whenever we're looking at protection for vendors and from vendors, what are we looking at there?
Well, a lot of times that comes down to contracts. You want to make sure that you've got those relationships and contracts in place, back to our attorneys, right? Because we could end up having measurable downtime because of lack of supply or lack of technology even. And we certainly don't want to do that. You talked about cybersecurity. You know, we can't have systems going down to prevent a breach, because then we're sitting here unproductive.
Yep.
And whether we're pouring concrete, and I might need that guy, by the way, because it's hard to find a yard of concrete right now. But whether it's pouring concrete or advising clients, we can't be in a period of no productivity because of a vendor supply problem or a vendor technology problem.
You know, over the last 3-4 years that I've been doing this podcast, Jeff, I've gone into detail on every contract that I've seen business owners use. We've even had attorneys come on the show and talk through those contracts. I've gone through every insurance. In fact, you've spoken about some of the insurances that business owners need to consider with your expertise there. So we've spoken about every insurance. We spent time talking about processes, and I know Miss Amy Aarons is going to come in talking about operations and KPIs and that sort that we use within our company. But as we're looking at this risk management, I think the number one thing that we want to nail down for our listeners is if we cannot quantify something, we've done our job right. If we have no incidences, we've done our job right. I think that's the number one point we want to make today. Is that correct?
Yeah, it really is. If we're doing everything right, then we don't have a measurable dissatisfaction or a measurable mark or a blemish on our record, then that's fantastic. The other thing I want to emphasize is don't be afraid of risk management. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's stuff that we don't want to talk about: death, dying, disability, and lawyers.
Yep.
Right? We don't want to talk to any of them.
Yeah, you're right.
But we do need to talk about it. We need to have a plan. And again, even if it's just that yes, no, and are we better than last year?
Well, that leads me to a question then, buddy. So we don't want to talk about it, but we need to, and we need to have a plan. Let's assume and I know what assumption means, but let's assume that we have business owners who have already done this before. They've already spoken to attorneys. They've already talked to agents, insurance agents, et cetera. They have a, quote, plan. How often do they need to revisit this? Are we talking about annually they need to be meeting with attorneys? Do they need to meet annually with insurance agents? Is it more frequent than that? From what you've seen dealing with risk management, legal and insurance, what advice would you give to business owners from developing the plan to revisiting that particular plan?
Well, and that's industry specific, I would think, but at least annually.
Okay.
We have compliance audits because of the compliance factor of our business, at least monthly.
Yep.
We're doing spot checks and audits. We have external audits. But I would visit your plan, and if you need to go through those questions again, then just put updated in front of the same question. So it's not, do you have a buy-sell agreement in place? But now it becomes, do you have an updated buy-sell agreement in place? So it's always easy to come back and look. And we just went through this, a buy-sell agreement. The buy-sell agreement was for $900,000. Their business is now worth $6 million. So each partner would have gotten $450,000 had we not updated that plan on a $6 million business. Yeah. And we can't have that. So we have to update these frequently.
Yeah, so I think the way I would describe it is we don't want to be the ostrich. We don't want to stick our head in the sand and ignore this. As much as I love to pick on my attorney brothers out there and sisters out there who are experts in their field and very knowledgeable in this field, we unfortunately or fortunately have to visit with this consistently. So, friends, we've done the best we can to kind of let you know how we operate. Yes, we have all these structures in place. We have things in place as it relates to insurance and legal documents that protect the team from something happening to an owner, or the company from protecting the company where if something happened to one of the key players on the team, because life happens sometimes. We also have systems and processes in place that protect the company from customers and customers from the company. And we do that through a number of different things. We have attorneys, we have contracts, we have compliance audits, and compliance audits in our industry, they can be, because we have to deal with them so frequently. And we even have processes in place that protects vendors from the company and the company from vendors. I think of this horror story. I don't think I've ever told you this. Years and years ago, we had a customer that was shipping used batteries overseas to have them recycled in big international shipping containers. And they tried to be, well, let me say it candidly, they were really cheap. They didn't hire an attorney that was razor sharp. They did some like a LegalZoom type structure. They ended up losing $450,000 worth of supplies because of a technicality in their vendor contract where a good attorney would have been able to protect them from that. So, friends, as Jeff said, this is an area that we don't want to deal with, but my challenge to you is if you feel like you've got these things done, man, fist bump to you right now virtually, but let's talk about that word updated. Perhaps now it's time for you to revisit your risk mitigation plan for your business. You say, Justin, I don't have a clue what you guys are talking about. Give us a call. This is what we do. We work with business owners to not only protect them from the business and the business from the sales, but everything we've talked about today. Now, are we attorneys? No. We work with a ton of attorneys nationally, though. Are we insurance agents? Some, a little bit. We have some insurance agents on staff. But do we have all the type? No. We work with some razor-sharp insurance agents out there. But we know how to set processes up. You say, Justin, man, this is over my head. Check out financiallysimple.com. You can go there. You can say, hey, work with us. You can talk with me or Jeff or anybody else in the office for that matter, and we can see if we can help you. So, friends, until next time, we start diving into the people component and the operations component. It's going to get kind of fun there. Miss Amy Aarons, our Director of Operations, who is a rock star, will be here joining us on that particular episode. Jeff, any parting words for our listeners, business owners out there?
I do have one thing.
Sure.
Something will go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would be better to be prepared for it than react to it later.
Absolutely. Well, there it is, friends. Life happens. As I often say, life is hard. It is. Someone told me just last week, man, I do not want to be a business owner. Not everybody's designed for this role as being a business owner like you've chosen. I get it. Life is hard and things are going to happen, but man, Jeff, life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good. We are blessed people, aren't we?
We are.
Blessed beyond measure. Life is good. And it can be frustrating. Yeah, having to deal with insurance agents and deal with attorneys and consistently, it can be frustrating. It can wear you out, just like that chainsaw wears you out after running it for a full day. But they're necessary, and you need a stinking sharp one. You need one that can just make it happen. So I get it, but life doesn't have to be frustrating. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Till next time, from Jeff and Justin, y'all make it a great day.